Hey guys, thanks for tuning in. So today we're going to be reviewing the OVERSKY RC WARLARK 80 FPV quadcopter. This is like a little replica of a Inductrix Tiny Whoop craft, and I'm going to go ahead and be unboxing this here. We're going to go through a little inspection, and I'm going to be connecting it to the Tyrannus here, and also going to be doing a flight test and using my Fat Sharks with the DVR to record this. Now there are cheaper options out there besides the Tyrannus and these types of FPV goggles. I just went ahead and did the investment because I do a lot of reviews like this, and these seem to be the best two peripherals to give you guys multiple reviews. I can bind a bunch of different quadcopters to this radio and have all different kinds of configurations, and it's very adjustable. And also the Fat Shark goggles have that built-in DVR. They're very compact, but there are other options out there, and I will have this guy in the description below the video so you can go to the website and see this and also these other peripherals I'm using. But anyway, here it is. So the WARLARK 80 is basically a bind and fly. It's already got the little mini receiver built in, the little mini FPV. So all you are having to do is connect it to your Tyrannus, tune into the right channel on your FPV goggles, and go and fly. So you can see that it's a quad bladed prop, 4-bladed prop, and they just push on just like the regular Inductrix Tiny Whoop style. And here it is. So check this thing out. Very small, very similar looking to those other ones. It's got a built-in FPV camera. You can see that we have the FPV. It's just a little monopole antenna sticking up top. And then over here we can see that we do have this little red receiver antenna sticking up that's already soldered to the main board, which has the receiver built in. We'll be popping the top off in just a second. Anyway, what you get in the box is the craft itself there. You get this little tiny thing of Velcro for the battery, and all there is just this foam pad for shipping and a charger. It's just one of those USB chargers to that Walkera type of plug. This is going to be, it looks like a 1S type of battery. Let's just go ahead and see exactly what kind of battery this is. Okay, so pretty simple. It's just a 300 milliamp hour, 3.7 volt little 1S LiPo battery. Anyway, here's the quad. So the WARLARK 80, and you can see that it has these ducts here, just like other similar quadcopters, and these are great because they're kind of dual purpose. They give it more lift, thrust, and they also protect the propellers from bouncing around in your house. This is mainly made for like a no-wind FPV in-house environment. Have some great fun with these little guys, and you don't really have to go outside. If it's raining, something really good to just play with inside and practice your FPV skills. Adjust all the settings within Betaflight and go ahead and tune all your modes. This should have acro mode, Ratitude, which has self-leveling and flips, and also an attitude mode. So do you see how I just popped that off? It basically just has these two side clips here. You see that on the body, and they just push in and snap on these two prongs on the sides. Very simple. Checking out the board here. This is the brains of the unit. The board underneath is going to be the flight controller with the receiver built in, and then the board laying on top here looks like it's mainly the video transmitter board. You can see how we have this little connector here, push-on connector for the antenna. So you could actually push on and go ahead and somehow retrofit your own cloverleaf if you wanted to, and have a cloverleaf coming up here for even better FPV signal. 25 milliwatt, transmitter on the craft, so you're not going to get a whole lot of power, but it should be fine for around the house, and the penetration should be okay. I've flown a few of these with the 25 milliwatt video transmitter around my house, and just minimal breakup. But here's the camera. So a nice wide angle FPV camera, very small, locked into the front. And check this out. This one has this kind of cool angle adjustment feature on the bottom where you just unscrew. You could probably do just one and kind of pull it open. You can also unscrew the other side too. But you pull this off, and it has these little notches you can see, and the board of the camera actually has little prongs sticking out. And so depending on your skill level, you can adjust the tilt of the camera. It looks like out of the box it's coming with maybe about a 10% tilt, but it looks like you might be able to go up to like 20% as you get better, or drop it down to make the camera even more straight. So that's great that you have that option to do all that. Here's the battery bay that just slides in. You've got the Wakera connector here. Here's the motors, just these tiny little motors. Anyway, the way the battery slides in is very simple, just like all these other types of crafts, where you're just sliding in the battery right here. It pushes in and kind of clicks in tight enough to where if you crash around your house, it's not going to fall out, and then that's where you link the battery up. I don't have like a tiny whoop or an Inductrix yet, but this looks like a cheaper option than one of those, and it looks like it's going to be really fun and simple to fly. So let me go ahead and bind this thing up. I believe there's different versions on the website. This is the FRSky version, which should bind right up here. If we look at the circuit board, there is a little bind button there. I'm not sure on this one how you're going to change the FPV frequency, if you even can, because I don't see any switches or buttons other than this one button here that looked like a bind button to me. So it's not immediately clear to me how to do that. What might actually be happening here is shorting out a couple of pads, depending on which pads those are. I'm not sure which ones they are, but maybe when it's on, short out a couple and flip through the FPV channels. I am seeing VTX 25 milliwatt OSD, so there is an OSD on there. You should be able to configure this in the Betaflight software when we link this into our computer. So you are going to have a computer and a micro USB cord, because they don't give you one of those in the box, just the charge cord, to go ahead and connect it to your computer and configure this thing up. So if this is going to be your first one, you're going to want to have a little bit more experience with, or have watched some tutorial videos on how to go through CleanFlight and stuff. In this video, I'm not going to do the whole CleanFlight setup, because there are so many videos online on how to do basic CleanFlight and or Betaflight setup. So let's go ahead and I'm going to get this all charged up, configured. Let's go ahead and get out there, do a flight test with the FPV goggles, record that for you, see how it looks while we fly with the Tyrannus, and we'll do a pros and cons. One piece of advice would be to be very careful plugging this thing in. I was using one of those micro USB cables that has a little bit of a wide grip area, and I think when I pushed it in, it was pushing against maybe the bottom of the frame, and it kind of popped up and broke the little micro USB thing off. So there was really no way I could get into the controller to go ahead and program it. So I wasn't able to do any other kind of programming, like to go to the different modes, like you know, Ratitude or Acro mode. So this only has Attitude mode, which is the self-leveling with no flips, but it seems to fly pretty well. Recording now. So immediately you can see that this does have an FPV OSD on the FPV on the screen. So we have an on-screen display. I could probably change it if I wanted to, if I can get into the flight controller, but unfortunately I couldn't. And we can see that we have all this information over here. We have the accelerometer on the top left is on. If you go into acro mode, which I can't do at this time because I couldn't program it, that ACC will go off. It's telling us what mode we're in. On the left is stabilize, STAB. We have our horizon in the middle, and we also have it reading out disarmed. We have our voltage on the bottom left. And then we also have our time sense on the bottom right. So let me go ahead and turn on this fan on the goggles because we're kind of fogging up. And with this one, to arm it, just stock, it's the throttle to the bottom right. And we can see we have arm flashing on the screen. Let's go ahead and fly around. So lifting off. Woo! Now remember, this is, wow, this is really, really quick and touchy. So we already have a low volts flashing on the screen. I just charged this battery, so I'm not sure what that's all about. Maybe there's some kind of reading issue. You can see when we went to a low light situation, look at that, it turned black and white. And when we have better lighting, you can see that we're color. So that's a good feature, good in low light and good light situations. Let's go ahead and go in the kitchen and see what our range is like. Very excellent range because this is a FlySky protocol. So we're going to have really good range. Let me just land it and make sure that my antenna, yeah, my antenna is good. So let's go ahead and relaunch. So you can see that this thing is flying very well. And to tell you the truth, I mean, whoa, hitting the wall there. But that's no problem for this one. This one seems to be like very durable. Let's go ahead and do some close proximity here, right behind Sanaya, doing her homework. Let's try to make some rounds here through the kitchen. Woo, there's a dinosaur, Mechasaur. me and Sinai just built. And anyway, the OSD, I mean, it's a little bit cluttered up, so I'd recommend if you can get into, let's try to go under this table. Woohoo! If you can get into the flight controller, you can adjust that OSD how you want. Don't really need the horizon line, I don't think, and pretty much don't really need anything except the voltage, but the voltage does seem like it might be a little bit off. I don't see how it can be 3.3 volts right now. This is a 1S battery, so the minimum you want to go is 3 volts, but I don't think that's accurate for some reason. There may need to be some configuring, it looks like, in the beta flight, but like I said, I wasn't able to get in there. Hey, there's a stormtrooper. Oh, upside down. Let me go grab that and relaunch so we can continue on. Anyway, so continuing on before we lose too much battery. Let's go ahead and relaunch here. I'm going to try to go upstairs actually and see. Whoa. So a little bit tough with this. It seems like it's a pretty touchy scenario. Let's try to get up here. There we go. Whoa. Let's try that one more time. Looks like the body kind of popped off. Maybe that's why it was giving us some weird handling characteristics. You can see how the body just snaps down on these little tabs. So if you crash, just make sure the body's good. Anyway, hopefully we have a little bit more juice here. Again, I will have the timings up on the screen. Let's just go ahead and launch and just see if we can fly around upstairs just a little bit. As we go into a low light situation, you can see this would be great for night flying because it does go into like black and white. Let's go ahead and go into my son's room. There we go. So we still got great connection. I'm not getting any dropouts in connection or any problems at all. Oh. Okay, we landed on our feet, so let's continue on. Whoa. Man, I'm just crashing like crazy with this one. Just gonna go ahead and use up the battery until it's completely goners. So out of the box settings again are pretty touchy, so just be aware of that. It does feel like it's getting a little bit low. There's Sanaya again. I'll try to go behind her chair here. Whoop. Sanaya, can you fix it? Thanks. Okay, she's going to turn on the mechanosaur. And so we can have a mechanosaur walking around if possible while we fly. Okay, let's launch and see if we can fly around this mechanosaur. Okay, here we go. Whoa. There it is. Oh, we're right behind it, right underneath it. There he is, the mechanosaur. Woohoo! That's awesome. I think we're dead. Yep, you can see the FPV knocking out. So the battery's dead. So let's go ahead and stop recording here. Okay guys, so what a great little flight test and review of the WARLARK 80 millimeter. And it seemed to do very well. I'm very impressed with it. Let's go through a little pros and cons now. I will have the flight time be up on the screen here. I'll go ahead and put that up in some lettering so you can see just how long it lasted until it basically shut off and the FPV and everything cut out. It did seem like possibly the voltage reading was maybe a little bit off. It seemed to be getting too low too quick, and that can probably be set and configured in the Betaflight software, which I couldn't access, and that gets us to the next little con here. So as I mentioned before, this is the little micro USB port that broke off the circuit board immediately after plugging in. It just didn't want to take any kind of angle or skew, and it just broke off very easily. So it may be a little con. Maybe this company wants to solder on their micro USB connector a little better. I definitely would recommend this for like a beginner FPV pilot that wants to kind of get into FPV and you want to make sure that you're not going to hurt anybody or really damage the craft. You can't really damage this thing. These ducts here, they're protecting the propellers really good. It's really hard for hair and stuff to get in there because it's very protected. You're not going to hurt anybody with this thing. The FPV camera was very good. The OSD, a little bit unnecessary, you know, some of the things you can probably take off in beta flight if you wanted to. A plus is they give you an extra set of propellers, which you'll probably never really need to use unless you really crash it really hard. And they only give you one battery. It might have been cool if they gave you 2 batteries, but no big deal. You can order some more batteries at the site. I'll have a link down in the description. But for what it is, it did very well. I'll have, again, all this stuff in the description. Click down there and check that out. Check the current pricing and specs on this thing. You don't necessarily have to get these. Are some of the best in the business, and they're kind of expensive, the Taranis and the FPV goggles here. So you can get stuff that's a little cheaper if you don't want to spend that kind of money. Anyway, hope you liked the review, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching.